What is your research about?
Hi, my name is Mark Heemer. I'm a Principal Research Scientist at CSIRO Oceans and Atmosphere and an Adjunct Associate Professor at the Australian Maritime College at University of Tasmania. I'm also the Research Program Leader for the Offshore Renewable Energy Systems Program at the Blue Economy Cooperative Research Centre.
What are the goals and objectives of your research?
The Energy Research Program at the Blue Economy Cooperative Research Centre aims to develop and demonstrate renewable energy systems best suited to operations at sea. The program has many streams to it. We're looking to understand the energy demands of offshore industries, such as aquaculture, and explore what those demands might look like in the future. We're assessing what renewable energy resources are available that could power that demand, whether that be wind, or wave, or solar, or tidal energy. We're supporting the development of offshore renewable energy technologies that can convert that energy to usable electricity or fuel such as hydrogen. And we're developing the energy management strategies to integrate these systems to best meet the energy needs of offshore industry. The Offshore Renewable Energy Systems Research Program aims to first support development of offshore renewable energy technologies and demonstrate their potential as part of the future energy landscape in Australia. And second, to support offshore industry to de-risk their operations by transitioning their current heavy fossil fuel-based operations to renewable energy solutions with a lower carbon footprint, by reducing the need for potentially polluting fossil fuels in the marine environment, and by reducing noise associated with diesel generators.
What made you interested in this field?
I first became interested in offshore renewable energy a bit over 10 years ago. A lot of my research has been focused on the potential impacts of climate change on our coast through the effects of sea level rise and increasingly vulnerability to storm waves. So I started looking at wave energy technologies as a potential solution to both protect the coast while also providing low emission energy as a contributor into Australia's future energy mix. So looking at the oceans as a solution to climate change as opposed to a victim. Since then, I've expanded to looking at the opportunities and challenges associated with a much broader range of offshore renewable technologies, including wave, offshore wind, tidal and floating solar.
What does your day-to-day life look like while working?
My day-to-day work life now is predominantly office-based. A lot of my days spent in meetings, speaking to colleagues and collaborators working across a number of different fields from all around the world. Some portion of my day is typically spent producing or analysing data using some of the largest computers in the country. I typically travel quite a bit, collaborating with other scientists in other parts of the world. In the past, I've also spent a lot of time in the field. This would have typically been a marine voyage where I'd spend maybe up to a month at sea as part of a team, working in shifts to collect different observations of both the atmosphere and the ocean. I first went to sea when I was 20 years old. We sailed straight into a storm where the waves were over 10 metres, about 15 metres high, and I guess it's fair to say I didn't eat much during that trip. But I've had some amazing experiences. I've been to sea in all of the world's oceans, spent time in Antarctica and the tropics and all of those stormy bits that lie in between. Some of my fieldwork's also been closer to home, taking measurements of how beaches have changed after a storm, for example.
What other researchers and research institutions do you work with?
I collaborate with many different people in many fields. They all typically have some connection to the ocean. I work closely with engineers and scientists across many fields from a whole range of institutions across Australia and the world. These people will work with other research organisations like the Bureau of Meteorology or the Australian Institute of Marine Science at universities and also in private companies. In engineering, this will include mechanical, electrical, computer and environmental engineers, for example. And in science, it will include ecologists, oceanographers, meteorologists, chemists, geologists, economists, social researchers, data scientists. In the energy program of the Blue Economy Cooperative Research Centre, we have strong collaborations with the private sector, seeking to support the development of their technological innovations.
What is your expertise and experience?
I went to school outside of Adelaide in South Australia. I went to university in Adelaide at Flinders University and I studied a Bachelor of Science with honours majoring in meteorology and oceanography. It was essentially an applied maths degree with some environmental electives. After that, I moved to Hobart to study a PhD in Antarctic and Southern Ocean Studies, where I focused on how the ocean influences the geological climate record in Antarctica and up in Torres Strait in Northern Australia. Following my PhD, I moved to Ireland to carry out some postdoctoral research in ocean modelling, And then I returned to Australia, and I've worked at Gentillin Australia and then CSIRO for the past 15 years, which has given me some great opportunities to work in many large national and international research programs and at other institutes around the world, including in Japan, the US and the Netherlands.
What advice do you have for aspiring scientists and engineers?
My advice to aspiring scientists or engineers is to love what you do. There's so many opportunities or careers that you can go into with these skills and places you can go. Technology is key in these fields now, and that will only become more so in the future. So remember that maths and physics, chemistry are what underpins those key requirements. So whichever field of science you want to go into, they're really important underpinning skills to have at school level.